right. So if you remember, Teddy, I started with the firm on December 15th, 1980. And shortly after I started, you were doing an audit in Red Bank. And I don't remember who introduced me to you, but I knew that like within the next day or two, I was heading out to Red Bank with you. Do you remember that?
I do. And you know, that was interesting because both of us were relatively new to the firm. I had only started the year before. And for both of us to be put on the same job was kind of exciting because we were able to work it together, and therefore it made it a lot more like a team than it did as individuals.
I don't remember how we drove over there. I think we drove in a single car, so we must have met up someplace on the way.
That I don't remember, although you know, again, you're talking about 1980. I would have thought that we probably would have drove together because at that time that was one of the firm policies.
Correct. We might have met at the office and then head off to Red Bank. Interesting job. If you remember, I didn't have an adding machine.
That's the funny part of that job is at that time, you know, adding machines weren't what they are, and today you don't even use an adding machine, but Henry showed up with a calculator, and that's a lot harder to use, a little pocket calculator to do a full day's work. So it was interesting, but you know, we all learned quickly.
It was a good job to learn. And it was an audit, which is frankly for somebody that just started in the accounting, it was a good experience. It was an experience working. It was a good experience working for you actually, because you already had audit experience from a Big 8 firm at that time, I believe they were,
Right.
Maybe Big 10, Big 8. And then you worked for another firm as well, and you had audit experience. So it was good to kind of pick up some of the tips and procedures that were
Right.
required in the audit engagements.
It helps. Experience always helps. So certainly a high would have been the fact that Henry and I continued to move up the ladder together of the organization. You know, besides being friends and being staff people together, we also realized very quickly that we were going to have a voice inside the firm, and we became managers together, which at that time, both of us were young, very young, maybe not even 30 years old. So a high was being able to be together in terms of not only, like I said, professionally, but the friendship.
And I think along those lines, I don't remember a lot of lows actually. You know, it's hard for me to kind of address what would be a low as a staff person. Maybe not moving fast enough, but we moved pretty fast, and we were involved in the governance from a very early time. Governance of the firm. So low. I'm struggling to come up with a real low as a staff person. It was a lot of fun. Frankly, the camaraderie among people at that time was a lot better, I think, because we were a smaller firm in a single location, and we had a great bar, walking distance from the office.
And you need that sometimes.
Friday night. Every Friday night we were at this bar. So, and everybody would get together and kind of go over that on a regular basis. And we had lunches all the time together. It's a lot easier when the firm is smaller to have that closely knit relationship with everybody. When I started with the firm, I was entry level. I had some experience in business, but it wasn't really a professional level of accounting. So Ted, who was my supervisor on the job, on an audit job, would be one of my first mentors as far as audit or financial statements was considered. And I have to say that other more experienced people in the firm, partners and managers alike, served as mentors as well. Every one of them contributed something. Professionally, in terms of governance, you learn from other people. Aaron Smolin was a great mentor to a lot of people, including me. Ted, what do you think?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Aaron. I mean, for me, certainly from the day I came into the firm, Aaron spoke to me a lot. Sometimes I would wonder, why is he spending so much time with me? You know, never realizing that I would move on and become a managing partner of the firm. But in terms of other mentors, I think some of the other more experienced partners, Ed Hardy, who pretty much worked on the audit side, but was a very creative person. So for me, I learned a lot, not only technically, but about businesses. And and last but not least, John Mitros, who, again, at a very young age, took us under their wing and talked to us not just about technical issues, but terms of how to treat the clients, what the clients need, the way we should be maybe mentoring younger, less experienced staff. So, you know, from Aaron to Ed to John, I think they were, for me, the main mentors in my career.
And I don't want to forget about Saul Lupin, because both Aaron and Saul had this, strong attitude towards doing whatever we can to help clients. And John obviously was like that too. You know, he would go out of his way to find out what the problem was and what are the available solutions to address the problem that the clients had. Go ahead, Ted.
So our friendship started almost immediately from the time Henry joined the firm. I think that, we had a lot of commonalities, not only being both relatively new to the firm, but also the fact that, our ages were so close, our lives, our personal lives with children. There's not many years difference between any of our children. So there was a commonality of being part of a firm, being married, also having children that were about the same age. So, sometimes you do drift in the course of a day from work to your own life. And the fact that both Henry and I were raised in a Polish family, that for us, the traditions were very similar. But I think the friendship was always based on something even above that, and that was the respect and the trust we had for one another. And I think we're both very good listeners. So when you can listen to what the other party has to say, it's going to enhance the friendship. So I've never looked at Henry as much about him being my partner as I have my friend.
Excellent summary. And frankly, Teddy is a better listener than me. I don't have as much patience as he does, which is why he's a managing partner. He's got the patience to listen to people complaining and having issues, and I don't have that in me to do that. But as far as the friendship is concerned, if you think about, we've been here since I've been here since 1980, and I'm sure I spent more time with Ted and other partners and other staff people in this firm. I spend a lot more time with them than I spend with my own family. This becomes life. The workplace becomes life because of the amount of time that we spend together, and we learn about each other, and we learn to trust each other. We learn how to count on each other. We learn how to collaborate with each other, and we learn how to compromise with each other. It's a lifelong lesson, and the more time you spend together, the better you get at it. At least that was our experience.
Sure. Well said.
So I have always said that I want in my business partners, I want to have a relationship built on trust and friendship. And I think off of a relationship like that, all of the other things and things needed in business and to operate a business properly will follow through. And with Ted and Henry, I really feel first and foremost that we're friends, but I also appreciate over the years the leadership and the guidance that they have really provided to me. And I know that it really helped me in my career and has helped get me to where I am today in my career.
Both of us started on the executive committee at the same time. We kind of formulated the governance model, and at that time, I don't believe we had a managing partner position. It was more like a chair of the executive committee. Were you the chair from the very get-go?
I was.
Yeah.
I was.
So everybody had different responsibilities, but it was a very much a collaborative kind of effort in terms of making decisions, because the executive committee had a collective executive power, not necessarily each one of us individually had executive power. But my recollection is we always kind of made decisions on a collaborative basis, talking about what's the issue and then coming up with a solution that worked for us. What are your thoughts on that?
So I think about the fact that when we joined the firm was a small firm. There's no question. Revenues were maybe not even $2 million at the time. So when a decision did have to be made, it did take the whole group to make a decision. But I also do remember, and I think that this was really a turning point for Smolin, is that even after we decided to go with a strategic plan that you pretty much put together and presented to the partnership for the future of Smolin, even after looking at how the firm would break down into departments and it would break down into how we were going to operate, which was truly one of the best things that could have happened to Smolin, we still stayed with the mentality that as owners, we still felt we should all be involved. And even today, where we're much larger, when a decision is made, we try to get in as much buy-in from the partnership as possible, so that we're not over here dictating, and the consensus of ownership is heading in a different direction by including each other in on the decisions to the best that we could. Sometimes decisions are made and they can't all be made collectively, but I think that we continued with that process of, even when we were small, that we're going to include as many people as we could in the decision, especially if it's a difficult one.
So if you remember, we used to have Christmas parties on a regular basis, and they were really, I would consider them to be really upscale, really dressing up, going to nice places, and celebrating the firm's growth and successes financially and otherwise. And at some point, we gave it up because I guess the participation wasn't there. What are your thoughts on that?
So again, I think that when you look at wins and losses, I almost feel the fact that we're around as many years as we are is a win. And I really don't look at it that there's been losses. There might have been some disappointments that did occur. Thank God, rarely. I don't think I could count them on one hand. But the wins are the fact that we've continued to grow this company every single day, and the fact that we're able to not only continue our careers, but also how many people behind us now will be here probably for most of their lives, if not all of their working lives with the firm. That in itself is about as win and as good as I can describe of Smolin, is that we're set for the future.
Good point. families, workplace, life, work balance. I mean, all of this you and I talked about over the years. And somehow for most part, we found a way to deal with the family issues and the business issues in some workable fashion. Obviously, the amount of time that we've put into the business was significant, and it had maybe some implications to some people as a result. But I still feel that, in a traditional family, we were putting in the time, and we had spouses that were able to kind of maintain peace at home, and it worked out well for many of us.
So sometimes I would get confused when I would think of families, of whether I'm dealing with my biological family or my work family. And it's very hard to have different traits that don't spill into those areas. I always remember on Sunday nights, we would have a board of directors meeting at home for my 4 kids, my then wife, and myself. And as the kids got older, my one daughter said, this isn't a business, it's a family. But many times I would come into the office and you would encounter an issue and you were addressing it almost as if you were the father of the family. Yet, I'm a managing partner, I'm not the father of the business. So it does become difficult to separate certain traits. And I think that overall it's one area has always helped the other area in times that you needed to be able to act as a family. And certainly the people at Smolin are a big part of, an integral part of my family.
And I think from the perspective of observing psychology of humans, we learn from our partners, we learn from our staff, we learn from our spouses, we learn from our children, and we are just humans, and we sort of express the same traits and function in a similar fashion. So the same principles would apply, whether it's workplace or at home.
Hi, I'm Alex Kresnomowitz. I'm a partner at Smolin in the Forensic and Valuation Services Group. I'm also co-chair of the marketing department. So Ted and Henry, I joined Smolin 7 years ago and largely joined the firm because of Henry Rinder, because of Henry's reputation in the New Jersey accounting industry, and specifically within the body of forensic and valuation services. We had a long courtship and talked over the course of years, but I very much knew I wanted to work for Henry, with Henry, and eventually replace Henry as the practice leader. And that's happening now. And his guidance, his leadership, his mentorship of me means the world to me. He's helped me through some tough times personally. He's helped me through some tough times career-wise. And he is absolutely going to be sorely missed in my career. Ted Dudek, I met Ted by virtue of him being the managing partner at the firm I wanted to join because of Henry. And Ted, for years, when I entered as a partner, before I was an owner, Ted would come to me, he'd see me in the hallway, and he'd ask me to come see him more often. He was very much wanting to help me, to guide me, to offer me his sage wisdom and advice, not only in accounting, but how to navigate Smolin and how to be successful at Smolin. And for many years, frankly, I ignored him. I didn't heed his invitations. And eventually, I became wiser and more open to suggestion and guidance, and had a lot of very long conversations with Ted in recent years. The last 3 or 4 years, he's also become a mentor of mine, and he has very much helped me with my success here at Smolin. And the two of them, both these gentlemen, mean the world to me professionally and as friends, and I'm going to miss them both very much.
run personnel for a long time, so training and development has always been a challenge.
And it's one of the areas that I really have a love for, because seeing somebody develop is really the reward. And you know, when I started to become part of management of Smolin and became part of HR, you started to recognize that when people join the firm, they're not of the same nature as someone that's been with the firm a year, and the development of those people is extremely important. I once was asked about what was a big part of my life becoming a managing partner, and I always referenced it to coaching. And my entire career, for 22 years, I had coached not only my kids but many other kids. And that's what we're doing here, is we're coaching and trying to train our people to be the best that they can, to be able to service our clients. So when you look back and you look at the development of some of the people that maybe joined us as interns, and today they're partners in a firm and senior partners in a firm and part of the management of the firm, it's a reward.
I like the fact that you bring sports and coaching into the picture, because although I didn't spend a lot of time coaching, I spent a little bit of time on it. However, I learned a lot from like reading about famous coaches and how they approached development and training, and how, you know, the different sort of strategies and tactical implementation of how to get people to do what they wanted them to do, and so on. And I see that the same tactics and strategies work very well in business. You know, it's the same ideas. We're just humans, and we kind of operate in this fashion. So one thing that I kind of reflected on was, you know, I like people with work ethic, and that's an automatic sell as far as I'm concerned. But I'm also willing to be patient with development. You know, you just gotta be patient, and that brings me to Aaron Smolin, who maybe within 6 months of me working for the firm, called me in and said, and basically reflected in the same fashion. He says, listen, some people can advance really fast, and others will take a little slower, but at the end, they'll get there. You just gotta give them time. You know, I'm thinking that I have never looked back and regretted anything. You know, it's been always a passion of mine to get into accounting and the profession of accounting, the governance of accounting, the governance of the firm. That, you know, I don't know if I would make any other choices, because it was such a passion for me. How about you?
I think, obviously, I very rarely even look back and say that there's things that we needed to do or could have done different. I mean, there's always something, but to be honest with you, I live in a world, and again, it came out of my association with sports and coaching, is we have to be better today than we were yesterday, because everybody else is getting better. And we need to do that for our client base. So the fact that we are able to advance the company and continue not only in existence, but to advance it in so many different areas that maybe 10 years ago weren't even on a drawing board, I'm pretty happy with that in terms of being better.
And we've always been considered to be a very good tax firm and a good audit firm. And even from the early days, I remember getting favorable comments from bankers and insurance people about the firm. So we had that foundation from which we could have improved and built something bigger and better.
So we encounter many new people every year joining Smolin, and I think that when I have an opportunity to sit with them and talk to them about the firm, it's only natural to migrate to their careers. And I think that it's extremely important to learn what you can. Knowledge is powerful. It's good for us, it's good for the client, but most important, it's good for them. So learning in all different areas, maybe areas that they did not know, is going to be a benefit to everyone.
And you know, from that perspective, not everybody is cut to be a CPA. You and I know that. You know, we hire a lot of people, and thank God a lot of them stay with us. But at the same token, there's some that just do not like the path of being a CPA, do not like a professional path. They would rather go and become a controller in private companies, CFO, or some other occupation, some other profession altogether that's maybe related to finance, maybe related to accounting, or maybe not. It's just the way it is. And at some point, people have to make that decision, because being dedicated to a profession is a lot different than having a job. And a lot of it has to do with lifelong learning, because as you know, laws change every day. We get basically updates on stuff daily. Every morning I get 3 emails on what's changed since yesterday. So people that are dedicated to this profession have to have the perseverance to stay with all that. Otherwise, you know, they're just gonna tarnish, because they're not gonna be up to snuff with the rest of the profession.
Right. Well said.
So if you remember, Teddy, way back when we still were a small firm, and we would gather together to make decisions of the little things. We had, you, me, and a couple other people wanted to get more corporate and have professional people basically taking a lead in different departments and concentrating some of the decision making, especially on decisions that are not global decisions, that are related to the departments, committees, and so on. And I think that we've done a pretty decent job of moving in that direction as the firm has grown. I think that having the departments, having the department heads, having the executive committee, having you as a managing partner, these were all steps in the right direction. And as you look into the future, I think we are seeing further progress in that direction, as far as I'm concerned. Your thoughts?
I'd have to agree with you 100%. I think that when you're a smaller firm and partners in a firm or ownership in a firm want to be involved in every single decision that's out there, I think it's counterproductive. And many firms face that. Many smaller firms hit a fork in the road, and they're not exactly sure how they're going to continue to sustain themselves. And I think when we made the decision, and I'd have to say it was our partner group, and I'll give you a lot of the credit because you put it down on paper, and accountants love to see things on paper, explaining that it would enable us to be able to grow the firm. And by putting in the departments, you did incur some administrative costs of doing those departments, but you also took what is the most talented group in your firm, your partners, to go out there and expand the markets, expand our client base. And it set us up to be able to exist for a long time beyond the day that we made that decision. So I would concur with you that was one of our best accomplishments there were many, but I would say that was one of the best. And then selling it to the older partners that this was a way that we needed to go in order to be able to have a long life as an accounting firm in this profession.
So my path is I am honored that my partners have elected me CEO effective July 1st of 23, and I'm really excited to continue on the trajectory that both Ted and Henry have set for this firm. I think we are off to new great heights. We're going to continue our mission, our goals, and I really am excited and looking forward to the future.
When it comes to succession and legacy, I think we did a pretty decent job of making sure there's people on the bench backing us up, and talented people, younger people, in various classes of ages and capabilities, don't you think?
I certainly believe the fact that there are, I'll say I've waited a long time to make this statement. There's a lot more partners that are behind us than there are in front of us, and I think that in itself tells a story that with the youth that has come into the firm, with the talent that's come in, I think that the firm is set up to be here for a long time. We have looked at each other many times, or looked at the firm and tweaked it here and tweaked it there, but when you have young people, they're going to bring with them a certain talent that's going to move the firm forward. And certainly today we're fortunate to have that talent. It's good for the firm, it's good for our client base.
Agreed.
So I recall when news first hit of the pandemic, and the fact that many areas, government, many different companies and industry were beginning to shut down somewhere in March, early March, middle March. For us, for March 20th, we were able to immediately shift gears into servicing of our clients, and I think that's a tribute to staying ahead of the curve in technology. And Henry, who he spearheaded the firm for many years in that direction with the help of his department, his director George, and some of the other members. I feel that they prepared us for this, and our clients, I think, were able to concentrate on their businesses and not worry about how we were going to be able to abstract the needs that we needed from them, whether it's for tax filings or for financial statements or new laws that came into existence. They were able to focus on their businesses and allow us to be able to do the reporting. So I think we were well equipped for that.
So, it's kind of unrelated to the pandemic, was the reason why we were well equipped, because we were striving to provide sort of the best solutions in terms of servicing the clients on the technology side. And the focus was on being able to get access to all of our tools from anywhere, whether it's clients in New York or clients anywhere, or folks who would work remotely when they had to work remotely. And likewise, there was this capability of moving data from the clients as well, not just
Right.
us having access to our tools, but also being able to access clients' data, being able to move this data to our space to be able to work on it, and so on. And we had these tools in place. They developed over time, and the same thing applied to communications. We moved to voice over IP several years before the pandemic, and the idea was, again, to be able to communicate with your cell phone, to be able to use your home phone if you had to call clients, and frankly, the same way as you would being in the office. It would be
Right.
it would be totally sort of full connection on every level, and we had that. We had the data center already set up, so this way we were protecting the data from cyber crime, cyber criminals. We had security already in place, and so when the pandemic hit, and if you recall, we actually got hit as a firm prior to the official declaration of the pandemic in New Jersey. we had a team of people in New York visiting with a client, working on a client, and in that building they had sort of like the first
Right.
COVID break, and we were notified, and we then declared, to close all offices and to make sure that everybody was safe. We sent everybody home, and they were working from home from that moment on. And it was a learning experience for us, actually. It was smooth. We didn't have any service interruptions as a result. And it tested our capabilities, and it just worked out in a good way for Smollen.
Thank God.
So, what can I say? I've been here since 1986, 37 years it'll be next June. And of course I love the place, I wouldn't stay 37 years, but looking back over the years with Ted and Henry and that senior group when I first came in, we're actually managers at the time, but shortly thereafter became partners. It was just a great experience the whole time. When I first came in, I just had a baby a few months ago, so I was real nervous about switching jobs. I was like, did I make the right decision? But I felt like I had a family inside of a month here. Ted and Henry would call you in, sit down. Wasn't always about accounting, wasn't about get that job done. It was, how's your family? How's your baby? How's that stuff? So they really made me feel welcoming. Until this day, it's still family first, then business second. And that's reassuring, and that's why I'm here for this many years. And that's why a lot of people are here, because it's not all about business and dollars. And that matters, of course, in a business, but it's about continuing the firm, growing, and that's what those guys cared about. It wasn't a money grab every year. That's a bad word to use, I guess. It was about growing the business for a number of years. And they took certain steps for the benefit for the future, so that 75 years later, we do have a business growing and continuing to grow. So that I'm very thankful for them and their tutelage over the years.
So Teddy, we have acquired, merged in some smaller firms over the years, and we have talked to bigger firms as well, but we have never really got into a upward merger situation. So that leaves us in New Jersey as one of the few independent firms that do not have allegiance with somebody that's bigger nationally or bigger internationally, which sets us apart, don't you think?
I do, and I actually think it falls into our strengths, because when you are marketing and you are out working with your client base, you identify the size clients that we know that we can handle. And in some of the firms that we have merged into Smollen, we know that they are clients of ours that need some additional services that Smollen is well equipped to handle. Today, again, with the baby boomers retiring, many of the smaller firms in accounting are looking for an exit strategy, and it's created an opportunity for Smollen that we didn't have 20 years ago. Yet here we are, a firm that is well equipped to be able to handle the needs of those clients. On the other side, if you look, some of the larger firms that have had clients come to them and there was a upward merger, they struggle with being able to handle those clients because the fees and the individual attention that they would get from a firm our size may not be able to be provided by a larger firm. So for us, we're positioned to continue to grow organically and to grow through mergers. And again, because of the situation of what's going on in the profession with lesser and lesser baby boomers, more millennials coming into the business atmosphere, I gotta believe that this is a benefit for the future.
100%, I agree with that. And it's true also in our Florida market, where we are positioned in a similar fashion. sort of transition of executive power by electing Sal as a chief operating officer and Paul as a chief executive officer. Why don't we talk about why Paul and Sal, and how does that translate to the success and future of the firm?
So, if you remember when we first started discussing this topic and you start looking for who would be the successor managing partner, I felt that was a difficult situation for the firm to be in. And the reason I felt that way was that there are certain things as a managing partner that I can sit back and evaluate and say, you know, I did this well as a managing partner. There's just as many things that I wish I was able to do that I did not accomplish. And sometimes it's better to have individuals that maybe their strengths will be able to accomplish some of the things that maybe we weren't able to accomplish. And when we started to break down the group, we looked at people that not only are experienced in management. Sal has been with the firm for quite some time, coming to us right out of college, I'm sorry. And Paul joined us in 2003, and Paul was a former managing partner of his firm. So when we looked at their personalities and their strengths, it fell more in line with what we felt we could accomplish as a company. And I think that it will show as time goes on that for the future of the firm, those partners that will eventually succeed Sal and Paul, they will be more in tune with what we need to continue to be, you know, more corporate in a sense of being able to not only attract and retain good talent, but to be able to expand our horizons in different markets. So I think that their personalities help make the decision, but I think that the fact that they will, in some cases, be much better than we were, because they've learned certain areas of us that we've encountered, and they've taken it to the next level.
And what I find hopeful also is that it doesn't stop with Sal, and it doesn't stop with Paul, because we do have a long bench of younger partners, among whom I'm sure we can find future managerial leaders to the firm. And having that just gives us, you and I, a comfort level about legacy of the firm.
I've been with the firm since June 6th of 1983. When I started with the firm, Ted Dudek, our current managing partner, and Henry Rinder were managers at the firm. Terrific guys, mentors during my entire time at the firm. I've been on the executive committee with them almost from the inception. And again, mentors taught us a lot. And now I'm going into the next role of becoming COO of the firm due to them. They've been not only on running the firm, helping me run the firm, but also in accounting, technical aspects, everything, mentors, friends, not only in the business world, but also in my relationship with my family, becoming a coach, not only of my children, but also coaches of the firm and employees of the firm. It's been a terrific run, and I'm looking forward to the next few years to see how we can take this firm from when I started in 1983, from where it is today. It's night and day. It's huge, and we're going to take it to the next step for the young people that are behind us. And the people behind us, I'll be honest, maybe 7-8 years ago, it was a little scary, but now, with all these guys that we have here, I feel real comfortable on how the future of Smolin looks.
So it is. So the new thing that we are sort of trying to engage with is artificial intelligence. And there has been different approaches to it because we have already in our arsenal of tools software like IDEA, which really helps you in data analysis on a high level, and other tools that we are using to simply eliminate tedious tasks from the professionals. But the artificial intelligence, the way it's evolving, it's gonna make things a lot easier. So for example, Google Docs solution right now would allow us to dump data into a spreadsheet, Google spreadsheet, and basically instruct it on how it should be managed. And then, oops, 5 seconds later, we have the outcome, the output from it. And so that's on the technical, sort of mathematical path. Likewise, software applications like ChatGPT and Bard and Bing are bringing a totally different sort of capability to us. Proofreading of documents, and obviously confidentiality becomes an issue because you don't want all this stuff somehow circulating on people's wallpapers pertaining to our clients and so on. But there is ways to create templates. There's ways to create written documents very fast by simply providing the input and getting that output from it. So that in terms of client service, what I see is continuing elimination of tasks that can be replaced by technology. And some of these tasks should have been eliminated a long time ago. The key punch of data is just a waste of professional time. We are getting paid for consulting, advising, analyzing, problem solving, and movement of data should be automated. It's just how quickly can we get to the level where it simply doesn't even play into our daily lives as professionals.
I do think that if I can add anything, it's that when you're looking at young people today coming into the profession, they are attracted to anything that will help the process move quicker. And where years ago you had some of the dinosaurs that they maybe resisted change or they resisted the use of technology, today it's embraced. And again, as a leader, I think in terms of we feel we're always ahead of the curve in what we're bringing to the table to service the clients. The staff also looks at it that way, as being able to help them.
And we got to give them the tools to do it.
We got to do that, no doubt.
Well, obviously, we are pretty much on the growth curve, and we have been for a long time. Frankly, I don't remember ever contracting the business. Maybe in 2009 for a short period of time after the Great Recession or during the Great Recession. But it seems like our growth curve is accelerating, even beyond what we have seen in the past, Eddie. What do you think?
Well, certainly it's exceeding budgets, and I think that a lot of that has to do with the people that we have. And when you're playing baseball and a few people get hits, it becomes very contagious, and that's what we're seeing now. It's not concentrated in one person or two or three people. The firm, because of the talent pool that we have, is certainly attracting more and more business to the firm. I also think the fact that our turnover rate is so low compared to other firms in our profession, I think that we're able to retain the people, and other people or other candidates that would be looking for a position are going to join Smolin. And we're in a service business. If your people are good, you're going to have a long life, and we've been blessed. We've been blessed to have those people, with a lot of them elevating to management, providing opportunity for these people to grow into management, giving them more more CPE or more training in areas of management, in marketing, you're starting to see a whole new wave develop. Our marketing partner who recently replaced you, our two marketing partners, they're young and they have new ideas and fresh ideas. And again, the young people relate to other young people. So all is a positive for the future of Smolin.
And I think to that point also the client base is getting younger. So the younger partners and the younger staff are attracting younger clients,
It's true.
which really will translate to even greater and better future for the firm.
No doubt.
So I've been working with Brad and been Brad's partner for many, many years. I've known him longer than I've known my wife. I've seen his kids grow up. He has seen my kids grow up. We are friends and we are business partners. And I think he has been with me on this journey side by side for all those years. And I think this firm, owes a lot to Brad. And I think he has developed certain areas of expertise in his career that has also been an incredible asset to this firm. And I look forward to working with him and Ted and Henry as they go on to the next stage of their careers.